From Washington, this is VOA News. South Sudan's Kiir and Machar come to power-sharing agreement. Islamic State militant convoy is struck by U.S. airstrikes. I'm Vincent Bruce, reporting from Washington. South Sudan's President Salva Kiir and rebel leader Riek Machar have reached an agreement on a power-sharing formula. The reported deal would establish a national transitional government that would help steer the world's newest nation to elections. The earlier reports of the agreement would have Mr. Kiir as president and Machar as prime minister. Discussions are still ongoing about positions like a vice president and deputy vice presidents. The two warring leaders also called on their troops for an immediate ceasefire Friday during the ongoing peace talks in Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa. U.S. officials say U.S.-led airstrikes hit a convoy of Islamic State militants' vehicles near the Iraqi city of Mosul Saturday. The officials say the 10-vehicle convoy was moving near a gathering of Islamic State leaders. U.S. officials could not confirm whether Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was among the leaders thought to be at the meeting, or if any of the group's leaders were wounded or killed. For weeks, U.S.-led forces have carried out near-daily airstrikes against Islamic State targets in Iraq. In Sudan, reports say an attacker with a knife killed two soldiers guarding a gate at the presidential palace in Khartoum before other troops shot him dead on Saturday. Press Secretary Imad Ahmed tells Reuters news service President Omar Hassan al-Bashir was not in the Republican palace at the time. According to Ahmed, a little while ago, someone attacked soldiers who guarded one of the gates of the palace, and they said soldiers shot him dead. This is VOA News. Americans Kenneth Bay and Matthew Todd Miller are on their way to the U.S. after being detained by North Korea. The State Department's announcement of their release Saturday comes less than 3 weeks after the unexpected release of another American detained in North Korea, Jeffrey Fowle. President Barack Obama told reporters Saturday the U.S. is very grateful for their safe return. Japan's foreign minister and his Chinese counterpart have met formally in Beijing for the first time in more than 2 years. The two, that is Japan's Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida and Foreign Minister Wang Yi of China, met in diplomatic efforts to lay the groundwork for a possible summit between the two countries' top leaders on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Conference, which begins in Beijing on Monday. In Beijing, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry welcomed the meeting.
This agreement is a beginning. It's not an end. It's the outline of steps that now need to be taken in order to really define how certain tensions are going to really be resolved. So it will be over time that this will be given a little more meat on the bones.
Also in Beijing, Kerry says the U.S. and Russia have agreed to exchange information about developments in Ukraine. The World Health Organization says the death toll from the Ebola crisis has risen to 4,960, with more than 13,200 others infected with the disease. Health officials said while the death toll continues to rise, the rate of increase has declined. U.S. Ambassador to Liberia, Deborah Malak, says while the rate of the increase for Ebola is declining, the international community cannot get overconfident.
We are not yet on the true downward curve or close to zero. The nature of the epidemic is changing, and so we need to continue to be vigilant.
In the U.S., New York federal prosecutor Loretta Lynch was nominated by President Obama to join his cabinet as Attorney General on Saturday. Lynch would become the first African-American woman to head the Justice Department if confirmed by the Senate. She would replace outgoing Attorney General Eric Holder. As he announced the nomination of Lynch Saturday, President Obama said he thinks he could think of no better public servant for the job.
It's pretty hard to be more qualified for this job than Loretta. Throughout her 30-year career, she has distinguished herself as tough, as fair, an independent lawyer who has twice headed one of the most prominent U.S. attorney's offices in the country.
With the president, Lynch pledged that if confirmed by the Senate, she will work every day to safeguard American citizens and their liberties and rights. I'm Vincent Bruce in Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.